her screen. Please be sure to write your questions and we will answer them in the last 15 minutes. So Emmeline, the floor is yours. Thank you so much for being here. We're really excited to learn from you.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here. Hello, everybody. As Nadia said, I am Emmeline Green and so excited to join you today. I'm joining you from Florida, in the United States, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we're going to get started. So for today, we are going to really be looking at unlocking your potential, and how we can build work readiness skills through AI. And I'm really excited to be able to jump into this with you because the truth is everyone here in this call, is really going to be the creators of what we see for the future of work and the future of AI. And so I want to start off with a question. This picture here is always one that gets me really excited. It is of outer space in our Milky Way galaxy. And so in the chat using emojis, I would love to know, which would you trust more to land you safely on Mars? A highly trained astronaut, so you can use an astronaut emoji, or an AI autopilot system. You can use a robot emoji. So I'll give everybody a couple seconds here. I see a mix. We have robots, we have some astronauts. I see some people saying both. Double robot, triple robots. Oh, highly trained astronaut. Oh, I see an alien has made it into the mix. All right. We'll keep your answers coming through. I love to see. I think it's a pretty split group right now from what we're seeing. And so I would love for us to think about, what if the best answer is both? And I see some of you put that in there. And I think that we have a highly trained astronaut can do an incredible job. An AI autopilot could probably do a really great job too. But what I would love for us to think about today is really the opportunity that happens when we bring both AI and we bring our uniquely human capabilities and skills together. And that is the reality of what we're already starting to see in a lot of industries, including our space industries, is that we are able to get to new places that we've never been before because of technology, but also because of humans and the things that we think about that technology isn't thinking about, the way that we've built technology to guide us safely. And so as we continue this today, let's really think both are incredible. How can we leverage both the skills of our humanity with the technology that we're building to get us to new places and take us, to the great beyond? And so, on that note, I always love to share this photo of what I consider the most powerful network in the universe, which is inside every single one of you, which is our brains. So, the photo to the left-hand side is the Milky Way galaxy, 100 to 400 billion stars. That's a lot of stars. If you look up in the night sky, depending on where you're at, you'll see some, but there's a lot up there. And our human brains are incredibly complex and brilliant, and also have 100 billion neurons, that are working really, really hard all the time with 100 trillion synaptic connections. So that picture to me, I always find it so fascinating. Yes, the color scheme is also very similar, but the way in which our universe is so brilliant and bright is the same way that our human brains are. And if we really think about it, we are the creators of this technology that we're using, right? And so we have to remember what's inside these very incredible heads of ours that we can use and leverage with technology to take us even further. And so as we go on today, this is really going to be that grounding statement that I come back to, that connection between both, and remembering how incredible every single one of you in here is, and those unique abilities that you can bring into the future of work. So for our agenda for today, we will be guided in the what and why. I know many of you already have a strong understanding of the foundations of what AI is, but I'll do a quick refresher on that. And why does it matter for your future? Then how you can use AI to augment your future jobs, maybe some of the things you're doing now, and how do we use it responsibly? And then how do we really start to bring that to life? How is AI already impacting roles today? And we'll end with an activity where we think about our superhuman capabilities. So get your emojis ready. We're going to think about what are those unique things to you that you can really leverage in the future of jobs as well. So let's go ahead and keep moving forward. So artificial intelligence, AI, is about creating computer systems that we work alongside, learning a lot from large amounts of data, helping us make decisions and solving problems. When we think about the future of work, I know a lot of people say, well, we're in the right now, which is very true. But when we're thinking about the future of work, up to 30% of jobs are predicted to become automatable by 2030, and many will change in more meaningful ways. And so what that means is a lot of those repetitive tasks, we'll start to see AI being able to support us in that. So some of the things that we've done in the past in work, AI will be able to support us, but then that means there'll be other opportunities for us to, again, use those uniquely human capabilities alongside or in different ways that we can't even really think about today. There have been so many jobs, even in the last year, that we never knew we would need until this started to, really transform the way that we think about the work we do. And AI is already in action, right? So in the now, we're seeing that 78% of organizations reported using some form of AI. So this transformation is underway. But what I found really interesting was that only about 1% of those organizations feel like they're using it in the best way possible. So we're all really laying the foundation of what this can look like together. And that's where I think you all have such an incredible opportunity to really be the shapers and creators of ways that we can use AI in our jobs and in the future. And so I always just like to think about it as a lot of different data points that have been out there, bringing them all together and to help us see different patterns, different things in unique ways when we're thinking about generative AI. And it's really been something that's been building for many, many years. Back in the 1950s, using the imitation game, we saw AI starting to play checkers. We had activities where humans were asked to pick, is this AI or a robot? And over time, AI was getting better and better and better. At one point, even in the late 1990s, beating the chess champion with one of the AI models. And then in 2020, we saw OpenAI release ChatGPT, which I know many of us are familiar with, that really started to transform the way that we, in our day-to-day lives, were able to start using AI and really put it into action. And so it's moved from traditional AI of analyzing data, being very specific to performing certain tasks, to now where we're seeing it to be able to even create new content, learning from how we're using it, and really moving from just, again, more of like the knowledge and how it's using it to help drive some of our work and our thinking forward. And I think that's the interesting piece. In history classes and in the past, I'm sure you've heard about, an industrial revolution, right? Like the technology that was growing was changing the way that physical work was happening. So that's a photo to the left with a lot of machinery. And with AI, we're seeing this as augmenting more of our cognitive, more of our thinking, and really, again, being more of a thought partner, as well as the opportunity with things like bringing AI into robots, which is more of that physical work. But this is where we're starting to see a really big shift. And so I'm not going to read through every single one of these, but you can see that a long, long time ago, we were able to figure out how to control fire, right? Once we figured out that, things started moving pretty quickly, but it took still a long time until we invented the wheel, for example. Then we're entering different ages in history, from the Bronze Age to the Iron Age, looking at eventually the steam engine, which started to allow us to move things at a much greater distance. Airplanes, what an incredible, creation, connecting us all around the world. And then you can see the timeline starts to grow really, really quick, where we're starting to do the internet, right? Then we have personal computers all the way to today, where we're now again with generative AI entering the mix. And it's going to just continue to quickly adapt and quickly grow because we've entered this really incredible and innovative space when it comes to AI technology and the next level of innovation that it's going to unlock for us. But with that, it doesn't give us as much time, right, in between these transitions to really think about how we leverage it, how we create with it. And so I always think it's really interesting to think about that we started with kind of like steam engines in factories, right? Harnessing electricity and moving into assembly lines. But then things changed as we moved from computers into the internet. And we're going to see that next level of change with AI and automation as well. Because there are these trends, and yes, it's going to look different, but the world is constantly changing and growing because of the innovation, and the ideas that we're bringing. And so I like this example. I've never seen a printing press in real life, but I put a picture here to the left-hand side for you. And during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, printing was one of the largest industries in the world. We actually, when I was doing some more research on this, it required 2 to 3 people per printing press station. So you would have 2 to 3 people working on this, and at their time, probably felt quite quick compared to what it was before. But it took a long time to print out newspapers, to print out, any type of information that you wanted to spread at a large scale, even books, right? And today, now we have 3D printers. We have printers that are giant, and I always got mine jammed when I was a teacher, but I could fix it pretty quick, and it would still be quicker and be able to print out a lot more quickly than the printing press. And so imagine that when someone was working at the printing press and they found out, oh, there's a manual, a printer that doesn't have to be done by hand anymore. You can just put it in and it automatically makes these copies. Well, that's really scary, right? Because that was the job that they had before. But then it started to transform and open up different opportunities and really allow us to lean into some really cool opportunities and ways to make the world an even better place. And that's what, again, the printing press, it created new roles for us. We now saw editors, we saw typesetters, we saw designers, we saw publishers. So in the past, you were printing for the full sake of getting that text on paper. And then once the text was able to get on paper more quickly, people could go in and start to design the pages. They could go in and maybe focus in more on, again, editing it to make sure that the language, they had more time to review those pieces. So we're seeing that some roles will disappear, some will transform, but then there's also entirely new industries, education in the way that we can print out textbooks. There's now even textbooks that you can put your phone or a device over, and it will actually bring the textbook into 3D in your phone, right? Where you can interact with it at a deeper level. These are things that never would have been able to happen if we didn't transition from the printing press, right, to that next level of technology. And look at now all of these new jobs and opportunities that are created because of this transition, the knowledge that we're able to share. So as technology replaces certain repetitive tasks, it can really amplify in other ways, those uniquely human ways, like our creativity, communication, and new forms of human work that if you went 100 years ago, 200 years ago, and asked someone in the printing press, hey, one day will I be able to almost touch this, sheet of paper and will it come to life for me and a person will share their experience? They would say, no, this is a piece of paper, right? Like it's just printed text. But now look at the ways that we're interacting and being able to use it, and now how that can drive you forward to inspire you to create new ideas, which is really, really exciting. And so I always love when I think about AI. Of course, there are risks. There are many things that we need to learn about and use it responsibly. But I also think it's really important to think about the really incredible ways it's transforming lives, for individuals and communities. And so the 3D printer, for example, actually created a whole revolution in the prosthetic industry, where people were now able to create like prosthetic hands, prosthetic arms, and other prosthetics, and there's one organization that does this for young people, and they do it in the form of superheroes. And so they're able to customize the hand to be like an Iron Man hand or their favorite color. And so I think this is just, again, an incredible example of the way that technology in the past that wasn't as accessible, right? To be able to get these prosthetics, they were very, very expensive. They had to be manually, again, like crafted. There is a beauty to that, but it also has built us to a place now where 3D printers can do that and they can create that opportunity for young people who may have never had that opportunity or had to wait many, many years to now have that literally at the palm of their hands, like you can see here in this picture. And so the internet really has changed, right? The way we work and connect. I know for most of you on this call, it's probably been something that's been around for your entire life. And so for me, I remember I got my first cell phone when I was in fifth grade. And now it's something that, every single day I get that notification. You've been on your phone for 3 hours and 15 minutes of screen time on average. And I'm like, how did we ever have a world without this, right? But the reality is that we did. We were writing letters. If we wanted someone to buy a product, we would send them an advertisement and that printout. And sure, some of that still exists today, but where do we see now a lot of people go to learn about products? So I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat. Like if you're trying to find something, if you're going shopping, do a lot of you still go and look through a catalog? Or do you do that more virtually? Where will you go to find that inspiration for the next cool thing that you want to buy? Let's hear from a couple of you. TikTok. Yep. Virtually. Yep. YouTube. Advertisements on YouTube, right? Or like, oh, come on, I'm watching this video. Click next. Can I skip? Pinterest, Amazon, Instagram. Yeah, a lot of this has now shifted, right, to the online world. And what's really cool is, have any of you been like, I just said that, and now YouTube knows that I want it? It's even more customized, right? Like it's able to know everything from what you're clicking. This is again like AI interacting to give you those personalized recommendations. In a way, yeah, it can sometimes feel like, how do you know so much about me? But we're so connected, right? Like on our devices that it's totally transforming the way that we interact, the way that we connect. Even me being able to be here today, I think is a really exciting way that virtual connection can help us. And yeah, influencers on social media, people make whole careers out of that were never able to happen before. So as one thing transitions away, it opens up a lot of exciting opportunities. But again, we have to make sure, like you guys were saying, okay, how is it knowing these things about me, right? We want to make sure that we're also making the right roles that are protecting us as individuals, and making sure that we're staying safe. But also, I think it's really exciting to have some of those customized recommendations where I'm like, I really needed that standing desk. Maybe I wanted it. Maybe I don't need it, but I really wanted it. And now I can save that in my Amazon cart and come back to it for later. So sorry to go backwards there. So what I think we'll start to see, this is more of a prediction, but we're starting to see this in some ways in other industries as well, is that we're still going to have jobs, right? The jobs are going to look different, but I also think the way that we work with AI is going to really change that as well. So for example, right now you might have a team of curriculum writers. That's something that I do where think about it as like writing a textbook, right? Well, the amount of research that we would have to do manually is going to change because now I can have AI, and make sure I'm using a trusted system, making sure that I'm checking the sources. But now AI could go in and potentially give me all of this information that would take someone 2 weeks to pull together. And then I can go through and vet the AI sources, pick the ones that are best for me, and then get started on writing my textbook. I'm not saying I want to give AI that whole process, right? Because I know specific things I'm looking for. I need to verify that this information is correct. I've worked with students before. I want to make sure it's in a hands-on way. But there are going to be these shifts where, again, think about these repetitive tasks that maybe certain people have been doing, that now that job might change. And maybe instead of doing the repetitive task, perhaps they're going to be asked to be like validity checkers, right? And to be able to go in and make sure that these sources are valid. And then using that information to go even deeper and find even better resources. Or again, in that same way, that maybe there are some tasks that we can trust the AI to do alongside us verifying it. And so I think we're going to see this big shift where not saying 6 people will be out of work, right? But that 2 people might stay in that same job and it'll look a little different because they'll use AI. And then the other 4 people will move into other jobs that haven't existed before to make sure that we're building the most safe, responsible AI that we can. And so this is where our uniquely human skills really come into play. So back to that first example with space, and we're thinking about astronauts and we're thinking about, AI systems to guide us. at the end of the day, I truly believe that the things that make us unique in us are going to matter even more in the next 10, 20, 30 plus years. So the way that you see connections, right? The creative and innovative thinking, the ideas that you have, your emotional intelligence, your ability to read the room and kind of know you have maybe that close friend and you can tell everyone else thinks they're doing fine, but you know that they're not having the best day. These are things that are unique to us, our ethical judgment, right? AI is learning from us on these things, but these are the things that are uniquely human. And so, how can we really lean into those and think, what are those things that are unique to me? What are some of those things that I really want to grow as I continue to have opportunities like this? I can explore more opportunities to maybe even it's communication. Because I don't know about you, but let's hear it in the chat. Can you guys tell already what is AI generated for the most part? Like when it's on social media versus something that is human? What do you think? You guys can tell. I'm seeing some yeses. AI versus human. Mostly yes. You ever see the hands where it's like four fingers? And that's how you can tell, right? With some of it, that it's AI. Yeah, there's a clear difference, right? Like it feels very like it feels again like it's just it doesn't feel as authentic, right, as something that a human can do. I see some different ways that you guys are able to start to see it, and it will get better, right? Like the images, for example, will improve, but I do think that the things that humans are producing will always have that edge and that credibility, even if it's AI generated, but like human validated is going to stand out over something that's just purely created through AI. And again, I think that's because we have these uniquely human pieces that we can bring into it that AI just doesn't have. And so this is where I think for the future of work, we really want to think about, yeah, what that'll look like. And it is going to get better, but also Sora AI is also being validated, right? Like in that back end by humans, building it to make it better and better. So on its own, it's not just doing that, right? We're seeing, yeah, and I love Aman. AI cannot imitate human passion and are uniquely, again, like those pieces that we can bring in and see things and connect things in different ways. It's really impressive what it can do. Don't get me wrong. I don't disagree with that. But I think that we have this unique opportunity to be AI plus human to make it even better, even as it continues to learn and create better images with hopefully five fingers instead of four. I also don't know if you've ever used it to edit a photo. Even when I tell it, please don't change my face, it changes my face. And I'm like, so it's not even following directions. I will still need some incredible humans to help me in that process. And so that's what I want us to think about when we think about those uniquely human superpowers. And in just a second, I'm going to ask you, what is something for you that you feel like is unique to you? When it's creativity, is it, your empathy? Like, what are some of those components? And think about an emoji that will help to showcase that. So start thinking about that. We'll do that here in just a second. But I want to highlight some ways that we're already seeing this just in the last couple of months. So for example, let's say you're like, I think I have like a really creative way of looking at things. I feel very like innovative. This could be in art, this could be in technology, it could be in any way, however you define that creativity and innovation. You see new ideas, you see new connections. Well, now we're starting to see jobs like AI creative directors and experienced designers emerge where we're bringing together that power of AI, but with creating teams, right? The right people who can bring all of that together. And look at this job description: branding, social creative presentations, print, and landing pages, right? So we're expanding our offerings. We're bringing AI into this, but making sure that it's still high quality. You see that in there, quality and efficient. So we don't want to sacrifice what we're producing, because if this role just went fully to AI, I promise you it wouldn't be as incredible of an opportunity for this company as it would as if it was AI and a human working together to really make it the best it can be. So again, back to that first example, would you want AI to fully generate a website for you, or would you maybe want it to get you started and then you go in and you make your adjustments? I don't know if you've had that chance to do that with AI. I have. I have not been fully impressed yet. I still think it needs that really unique, creative touch that I would be able to bring to make sure it really captures like my essence and what I want to put on there, even with presentations, right? It can get us started, but it's not bringing us that whole way. So look at this unique way that it's bringing creativity with that technology. Another example, critical thinking. Every single one of you has that ability, right? It's something that we can grow and learn and improve on. Our ethical judgment, that is again something that is unique to us that we taught AI, like what does it mean to be ethical, right? But like this is still a very uniquely human capability. We're already starting to see roles like AI auditors coming up, data interpreters looking at like oop, I see a poll popping up already. So if you want to answer that, or maybe we need to wait until the end. But with AI policy analysts, this is where we're seeing people coming in and looking at how do we want to create that responsible and safe AI? How do we collaborate with governments, right? Because there needs to be some of that oversight in place, even within an organization, how you're using it, because you want to make sure you're not giving it like your personal information or anything that can be put out there in public. And then also collaboration. I think our collaboration, our communication are two uniquely human capabilities, again, that we can enhance with AI. And so here I thought this one was really cool. This is a community where people are coming together to train the AI to help make it even better, to make it improve. But again, it's not happening on its own, right? It needs that unique human element to come in and help improve it. And then maybe one day these jobs will start to change, but then maybe it will turn into like an AI learning coach where you're using this technology, but still delivering it in a way that's creating community, creating collaboration. That is something that I think we all really appreciate. I know for me, I don't want to sit and just watch a video, right, for 60 minutes. Like, how can we make it more collaborative, more interactive? In what ways can we bring that skill to make AI enhance that for us? And so my firm belief is that our uniquely human skills will remain crucial. And so it's really important for us to think about what are those uniquely human skills in each of us, and how do we again bring it together with AI, not to replace us, but to really amplify, enhance, and help us go even deeper. I want to pause here to give an example. So with junior achievement, or in INJAZ, a lot of the work that we do is around entrepreneurship, right? And I believe whether you create a company or you're a leader within your company, it's always important to really think like an entrepreneur and think like a creator. And you guys are at such an incredible spot where the ways that you're learning how to use AI safely and responsibly can transform how entire industries will use AI as well. For me, I remember when I came out of high school, everyone was hiring social media, like marketing. That was like the really big role. And they wanted a lot of people like freshly out of high school or university, because guess what? We had the unique opportunity where we grew up basically with cell phones always with us, right? I told you I've had mine since fifth grade. I was on Instagram, on all of these platforms, posting for my own stuff. So I already had this level up amongst almost everyone else who was older than us, right? Because we've been using it and we understood the foundations of it and we figured out new ways to use it. I think that's the same with AI, right? You're already probably, many of you have started to think about how it can help me maybe better understand an assignment, because I know sometimes I'm going to get really stuck on these big words. Can chat help me break it down into other ways? Okay, well, that's like a really cool skill and a really cool way you're using it. How can you leverage that in the future of the work you're doing? And I think what we're going to see is that a lot of leaders will look to each of you to help them also see ways that they can use AI to make their products better, to make their services better, to make operations better. And so I think it's a really exciting opportunity for each of you to really think about what can the future of AI look like, and how can you start to practice those in really meaningful ways now. And so I want to give you a challenge as well. And this is really, really important. When you're using AI, you often have two choices. You can use it very passively, which means you can just put in your assignment, let's say, for example, if it's an essay, or you can use it really actively and you can say, okay, I know I have to write an essay on this. I want to better understand these topics so then I can go in and really craft the most unique, detailed essay and apply my personal experiences. when you have those choices around using AI, whether it's in academics, whether it's for, again, the job that maybe you're doing now, really challenge yourself to use AI again in this collaborative spirit where it's helping us go deeper on the topics, not replacing those activities, but really enhancing it. So for example, let's say you wanted to start a business and you want to solve a community need. And I know in one of the places I got to recently go where we're starting our J company program or company program, one of the big problems is pollution. And these young people are impacted by it every single day. They have school closures, right? But they don't always have maybe the science class yet that taught them the root causes of pollution. Well, how can AI, right, help you better understand that? How can you bring your empathy? How can you understand like the resources in your community to craft solutions? And so it's not just saying, hey, AI, give me a business idea, right? You're taking your own local experiences, your own like empathy of seeing how this is impacting your community. You're using AI to help you understand the issue even more, and then working together with that community to get more insights to create solutions. And so as we think about the ways we use AI, I would love to challenge all of us to move from that passive use to really more active use to help us go even deeper in the same ways we saw with the printing press, right? That it was taking us to the next level of now like interactive textbooks, which is super, super exciting. And so, how can we discover and amplify your superhuman capabilities? Well, programs in schools, right, and community groups really help us to discover those. And now we can figure out what other learnings we want to do to amplify them. So, my challenge question to each of you now, I give you a heads up with the emojis. If you could put the emoji and perhaps the word too. But when we think about our uniquely human capabilities, think I have a list here for us as well. So which human capability, and I'm just going to give you a few that I said at the beginning, but there are many more, okay? So creative and innovative thinking, our emotional intelligence, our empathy, our ethical judgment, um, maybe it's communication, maybe it's working in a team. What would be your uniquely human skill that you would love to leverage with AI? In the next job or maybe even in your current job. So I'll give everybody a minute here. I see some really incredible skills coming through: empathy, persistence. We have communication, innovative thinking. I love someone was saying AI, in their opinion, can never reach that level of emotional reading that we have. I totally agree. I think that's something really unique. Our passion. Fun fact, AI is really created in a way to always agree with you. But your best friend isn't always going to agree with you, right? If something doesn't seem right. And so we need that uniquely human piece of maybe that's the honesty, right? That's a skill where you can be honest in a really like caring way. I see creativity, decision making, judgment. Um, Incredible. Expressing our own opinions. Yeah, absolutely. Creativity, because like you said, Miriam, AI learns from us. So I think these are all such wonderful. Ooh, I see the convincing, like the art of persuasion. Incredible. Oh, I love that. Giving steps for solving problems, breaking it down. That is a really unique skill, right? And you have to also understand, where are people getting stuck? How can I help guide them through that? Um, I love all of these. And so I think what I would challenge each of us today is to start to remember these are the pieces that are very unique to us, and that we're not looking for AI to replace that, right? How can we use AI to really amplify and enhance those pieces? Um, and I think that's a really exciting challenge for us. And it is, again, it AI is going to continue to enhance, it's going to continue to learn, it's going to continue to grow, but so are we. And so also, you guys are the creators of what this is going to look like and the way that we interact and bring it together. So remember that at the core, if we had a choice between just AI, right, or AI and our human capabilities, the power really lies in bringing these two together. And being able to showcase in future job interviews, in future internships, how you were able to leverage it. Because what we're seeing also is that many employers will actually hire someone with AI skills and no work experience over someone with 5 to 10 years of work experience, but no AI skills. And so we really, again, you guys are in such a unique opportunity having AI something that's probably already a part of many of your classes, webinars like this that you're going to get to participate in, where someone else who's been working for, me 30, 35 years, this will be my first time using AI, and I'm already 10 years into the work that I'm doing, right? You guys get to enter a lot, or maybe your first or second, third jobs, but early on have this unique opportunity to really bring it to life with those uniquely human skills. And so for me, I think that is one of the biggest takeaways. And I think that is what we'll see in the future of work. The way that, again, we move from 6 teams to maybe those 2 people working with AI, and how can we really showcase what that will look like. And these are some of the skills that were recently highlighted in a World Economic Forum report that are going to be really, really important for us to grow. And a lot of you said some of these. Some of these are a mix of technical and uniquely human skills, but our analytical judgment, right? Being able to question. I told you, and there's a term I always forget, but because it's really a fancy term, but basically AI was created in a way to agree and always say, yes, that's a great idea. Have you ever put something in ChatGPT where it told you it was a bad idea? Like that doesn't make sense. Like, no, it's like, that's great. And then it will like kind of guide you, right? Like it always is very agreeable. But I value when people disagree, right? Like we need that. We need to be analytical. We need to really think through the repercussions of things. And so that allows us to have and enhance that analytical judgment is going to be very, very important. Our ability to be flexible is going to be a skill that's going to be really important in the future because the way that the world of work is changing so dramatically, it's going to continue, right? We saw that timeline where we saw how many innovations happened since the start of fire versus since the internet and how quickly it's happening. So flexibility is a uniquely human skill that we can enhance and really just learn to be adaptable. Our emotional intelligence, like many of you said, and I just love to see all of the superpowers that you all talked about. That is a really, really critical one. Our creative evaluation. I went to a conference a few months ago, and I loved how they said, think like a creator. When you use AI, don't evaluate, let's say it's for like an image or like a short text that you're creating for social media. If you just look at it and you say like that's good or bad, okay, but maybe instead go into it with like that vision, right? Of like a creator of this is what I want it to look like and feel like, and then ask it, is that matching my vision? So you're no longer just like saying, is it good or bad, right? But you're really evaluating on that creativity, that idea that you had. So many of you who said, I'm creative, innovative, like that creative evaluation is going to be so critical. Curiosity, right? Like that just desire to learn, that passion that many of you talked about, those are going to be very important in the future. That bias detection, being able to say, maybe you asked AI before for a source and it gave you a website. Did you go a step further and click that website and actually see if that source came from there? Because I will tell you, a lot of times AI will give you a website, but that website did not say what it is telling you, right? So can we like use that to know when things are fake, but then also like when there's bias information coming into play, how can we create better data sets that really pull from a diverse perspective? At JA, we're building right now a Pitchmaster AI companion, right? And the way that we're building it right now as a foundation is in English, but we want to expand the languages. How do we make sure that the AI isn't going to be biased if someone has an accent, right? Or when we move it to a different language. So having that skill of speaking multiple languages, you could have a career in that bias detection or that data diversity, which is so exciting and it's going to be so critical, right? To make sure that we have the best AI tools out there that are, again, enhancing us and driving us forward. And then also AI prompting. So the ability to ask the right questions, to follow up, to make sure that, again, you're thinking like a creator and you're not just getting an output and trusting it, but you're really using it to drive you forward. And so, on that note, there are a lot of AI resources and tools out there. I just put two here that I have found to be very helpful, but I want to challenge you to not just take this and say, these are the tools and resources I should use, but be more like the person to the right that's really, again, using those uniquely human capabilities to decide what is the best tool for what I'm trying to accomplish, right? What is the tool that is giving me the most valid information? And also different tools serve different purposes, right? I've heard Claude is always recommended. It's like a really great writer. They actually are hiring a human and paying them a very large amount of money to train Claude to become a better writer. They're not just using the AI modifications. They want the human piece to make it even more human. Notebook LM, if you're ever stuck on tough topics, an incredible resource where you can put in trusted resources. So if you're a teacher, for example, maybe there's a couple PDFs that you have available online, you can put just those sources in Notebook LM, and it will actually create a podcast for you about the topic. It can give you note cards so you can practice for a test. So again, how can we use that to enhance the things that we're trying to do, not replace it? So there is a tool for a lot of different things out there. Maybe you'll create the next tool that's going to help solve a problem that you're seeing. But what I would encourage you is really use this time as that sandbox, right? Like this exciting opportunity to practice, again, making sure it's in a safe way, really building your AI literacy. There are a lot of wonderful websites and programs that you can do, and even with INJAZ, for example, to continue to grow that, and then figure out what tools work best for you, and also which tools can help you, again, enhance that uniquely human superpower that you will bring into the future of work. And so there's a lot of references because believe it or not, AI did help me here, but I also did a lot of reading, a lot of thinking, and a lot of going back to my own experiences when I was a teacher and asked myself, what would I want to see? Because I can tell you if I had just asked chat to create this, it would not be the same as it is today. There was a lot of back and forth because I also use AI as a thought partner. And so I will leave you with that in the end of the day, when we're thinking about the future of work, I think you guys are at a really, really exciting pivotal point to grow your AI literacy so that you can really understand what is AI and what are the safe and responsible ways to use it, but then also really lean into your uniquely human superpowers and use those in connection to AI to make really positive change for the world, because you guys are the future of what AI will look like. And just like you saw that hand on that little kid, and the way that we've used it to make that more accessible, I think there's a lot of really exciting, innovative ways that we haven't even seen yet that will be available for you. So in the chat, I would love for our closing, if you could drop, let's see, what do I want my final question to be? I didn't even see. If I was AI, I would have one ready to go. Just kidding. It probably wouldn't be that great yet. What is one human capability that you would love to grow in or to improve in? And that will be our last one. So you gave me your superhuman capability that you have. You saw a lot of incredible ones in the chat. Where would you like to continue to grow in the future? Let me see a lot of really cool skills coming in. And so remember that there's lots of opportunities to grow those skills. And joining today, I think, was a really great way of doing that and enhancing and expanding what you know about AI. And I hope that you'll take those continued learning opportunities so that you guys can really be the leaders and creators of what that will look like in the future. So that's all I have. I also need to work on a lot of those skills. So thank you guys for the inspiration. And Nadia, we'll turn it back over to you. Thank you so much.
Emmeline, it's been amazing. To be honest, I learned so much just from, I didn't even blink. You're a great speaker. You're an amazing, amazing specialist. And a lot of the feedback already. I mean, our Zoom capped in at 500. I had another 1,000 waiting to get in. So they're going to be watching the recording. So thank you so, so much. I've answered a lot of the questions in the Q&A, but there were some that were outstanding. I thought maybe I'd read one or two to you. So if anyone has questions, place them in the Q&A, not in the chat box. So It says here, let's see. Is it possible that in the future we will see jobs disappear due to AI? This question is from Ayazrik.
Thank you, Isaac, for that question. And I think jobs will transform, right? Thinking back to that printing press example, we're still printing, right? I don't know if you've ever used the copy machine, but it still has lots of challenges. But there's less people that are needed, right, to do that job than was needed in the 19th and 20th century. So I think the jobs will change because the way that we work will change, right? Some of those repetitive tasks, technology changing. But I think you'll either see less of those jobs potentially being there. And then again, the way that that job has transformed, that now maybe someone who was doing something like the printing press would be working in, like you said, like that example, like, copy management or maybe like design of the textbooks. It could have sparked something different in them. So I think we'll see differences in the ways of how many of those jobs there are, and then also new jobs that will come with it. I don't think that jobs will just go away. I think the types of jobs will just change as the technology changes.
Amazing answer, Emmeline. There are two questions that caught my attention. One has nothing to do with AI. So Nassim is asking, how can someone, which is you, not be nervous when talking to a bunch of people?
That's a great question. Well, I was a middle school teacher, so I taught 13, 14, and 15-year-olds, and that helps me a lot. But also, in my high school, I really wanted to get better at speaking because I'm a very nervous speaker. And fun fact, I actually get more nervous speaking online than I do in an audience because when you're in an audience in person, you can like see the faces, right? And I get like that energy from everybody. But you guys have been incredible in the chat, so thank you so much. I think it was really practice, and it was practicing with humans when I had that opportunity. But then also, technology can help support us in that way as well. So I think challenge yourself. If it's not a skill that you have right away, that's okay. Like we ended today, there are some skills that are our superpowers and there's some skills we want to grow. But the great thing with skills is that you can grow them, right? We're not trees, we're not stuck. We can grow and improve. And so I will say, if you talk to 15-year-old Emmeline, she did not like to talk. She was very nervous. But the more practice I've had and the more opportunities that I really said yes to have helped me grow a lot in that. So say yes to those opportunities, connect with trusted mentors and teachers if you're looking for those opportunities. And even if it's a little scary, that's the best thing to do because that's where the growth happens.
Thank you, Emmeline. And, to add, just look for opportunities wherever you can. You can start within your workplace, expand local community. Yeah, thank you, Emmeline. So we have a great question from Dr. Venus Bunagan. He's asking, how do you feel, how does AI affect academic integrity in writing and composition? So maybe we have to put our teacher hats on here and think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes to education, it will transform like the type of learning and activities we also ask our students to do. I was an English teacher for a period of time, and I think a standard essay prompt needs to be now like adapted for that way of how could a student even go deeper on that, or maybe even like pick a topic that they're super interested in. I remember I had to give like the same topic to everybody, right, because there was only one of me. But maybe if I had changed the topic, it could have like really sparked interest in someone and helped them go deeper. So I think we have to try to find those opportunities to really connect it back to like that uniquely human experience as much as we can and ask them to do the same. I think is really key. And then I've also seen in academia a scale. It's kind of like a green light, yellow light, red light for how we would like our students to work with AI for certain projects and certain assignments. So in some cases, it might be full green light, right? We want you to use AI, obviously not in a passive way like we talked about, in an active way, but we need you to disclose that you used it. And maybe you ask for that like first assignment, how it was, and what did the last assignment end up like. But then also there might be times where it's red light, right? And we don't want AI to be used either. And so I think that that's a key piece. And then finally, AI literacy. helping our young people learn the best ways and the responsible ways to use AI is really key. So I think it's three pieces. I think it's building AI literacy in our educators and our students. I think having clarity on the ways we expect our students to use AI. I always say clarity is kindness, and I think it's the same in AI. A lot of students sometimes feel like they don't know if they're allowed to use it, how they should be using it. And I think that's the responsibility of like the school districts and the teachers. And then three, really, how can we make those activities more active and more relevant to our young people? I don't know if that was the direct answer. I think it's a really tricky topic, but those would be the pieces that I would share back. And Nadia would love from your teacher side as well, and administrative side, if there's anything you would want to add there.
I think you've pretty much nailed that one. I also think that similar to what you said, we need to learn AI, adjust our teaching strategies, and even our expectations. I know that assessments now are more unique, project-based, hands-on, where students can use AI as a supporting tool rather than a tool that will do the work for them. So I guess keeping up with the more innovative styles of teaching and learning. I also suggest that if there are any educators here with us today or school officials, it's really important that you connect with other schools in other parts of the world as well to see what they're doing. So we learn a little bit about what's happening in countries that are similar to ours, but a little bit different. So, Emmeline, Warid Hassan is asking, where do you see AI growing in the next 5 to 10 years? Are we in the safe mode?
Oh, I like that question, the safe mode. I think we should always be with any technology in the cautious, right? The cautious mode and always asking the right questions. So maybe we could call it like the explorer mode, where we want it to be safe, but we also know that there's some things we have to think about. A recent study that I read said that they expect in the next like 5 to 10 years for right now, like AI can do like a 2 minute task that a human can do with, I think it was like 90% accuracy. But then they expect in like 5 years that it could do maybe a 15-minute task with 90-minute or 90% accuracy. So I think we'll start to see AI because of the way they can connect with other AI, right? And like all this infrastructure expanding. That we need to look at again more of those like repetitive tasks. And that will be what we start to see in terms of jobs that are going away, but then how it will bring in opportunities for us to do tasks and different roles that allow us to go deeper in things that we're really passionate about. So I would say we're in an explorer mode, but also you're in the creator mode, right? You can decide what it's going to look like and how it's going to be shaped. So take that opportunity and take that as a good challenge to really create the next ways that we use and work with AI.
Thank you, Emmeline. So a few similar questions throughout your presentation. If you have any tips on how they could become trainers in AI, whether as students, as volunteers, or even as educators.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would definitely look for like local AI, organizations or even online. The one that I shared at the end was just from a quick search of what were some AI training opportunities out there. I think that those will continue to emerge. So I would definitely keep an eye on, even LinkedIn, for example, if you have a LinkedIn account or wherever you're growing like your professional profile. I think that's a really exciting place to go and then search for those keywords and start to get alerts when those pop up and find different organizations that will do that and participate in AI literacy and AI learning because that's also what's going to connect you with AI opportunities, right? So doing different webinars, doing different learning experiences will just teach you what else is out there. But I would just do for right now, the quickest way forward would probably be like an internet search around training AI and opportunities to train AI. And you guys would be such incredible assets and opportunity to do that because there's so much that AI needs to learn from each and every one of us. So I think that's a great question and a really great way to take some action already in what comes next.
Thanks, Emmeline. So Noor Ismail is asking, how does AI learn? Is it from information or is it from data?
I would say both. It's built off of large amounts of data, but also that data isn't everything, right? Like the internet hasn't captured every single thing that's out there. So it's learning from the data it's been given as that foundation in its simplest terms. But then it's also learning from the way we interact with it and the information we give it. And so I think that there's a unique, again, opportunity there for like the humans in the loop to really also shape the way that it gives us outputs. Because there's a lot that goes on, and I am not a tech person, so I can't speak a lot to this, but I have helped design some AI tools from an education side, and there's a lot of human interaction to make sure that that output is done in a way that really resonates with whoever is using it. So I think it's a lot of data, it's a lot of learning from the way we're using it, but then also humans helping to bring in different data, collect new data, and build in new data sets, and then also the outputs that we give it.
All right. I'm really happy that we have a lot of teachers sharing questions. So thank you so much. We have Karen Takush is asking, how did you switch from education, teaching, to AI? This is a teacher asking. So I guess it's a question for you.
Yeah. Thanks for that question. So for me, I actually went from teaching to working for JA at a local office and then joined JA Worldwide a few years later. But I've always loved learning, and Nadia will say this too. We talk a lot about our learning. So I was looking for all the opportunities. And so a few years ago, I started my PhD in educational technology. And it was right at the beginning of the Gen AI like surge. And so my research has been on Gen AI. So way, way, way too many hours of reading, but then also really incredible to be able to apply it in education. So I think both is really important to have like the theory and like the reading side, but also the practical. That's what I think has helped me be able to speak to it more in these places. But there are so many incredible communities for educators out there, like the AI Connective. Again, there's a lot of groups on LinkedIn. I would really encourage you to look for those networking opportunities, and then they'll invite you to even come and share like 5 minutes around how you're using AI in your classroom, for example. And then you can learn from other people, connect with them, and do some of like your self-paced learning. Maybe there's, again, for me, I just love school, so I never want to be done. So there might be some opportunities there as well.
All right. So, Emmeline, one more question, and then we'll let you go. We're getting a lot of amazing feedback. Thank you so much. Where somebody's asking, can you please tell me if AI business is more important and easy than original business, if there's a difference?
I think that's a really, really great question to end on. I think that AI can supercharge your business and help you do a lot of things that you wouldn't be able to do on your own. But I also think there's incredible value in having like the right people to also drive those things forward, or the right humans checking that. At JA, we're actually right now building like a mini program all about how you can use AI as your business companion. One of our incredible AI ambassadors, Sumaya, is also one of them. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity to help AI, to have AI help you, but also remember, don't let it replace the things that are like at the core of a good business, which is really understanding your users, right? Or like your customers. So where are the right times to bring AI in? I think would be my best advice. So I think it can really drive innovation forward, but if you just ask chat to create a business for you, it's not going to be as incredible as it would be if you brought in your unique human elements and used AI to enhance and support you. But a lot of opportunity in AI in business, creating an AI business or using AI in any business to help drive you forward.
Thank you so much. So we are exactly on time. So what we're doing is we're taking Emmeline's recording. We're going to be placing bits and pieces on social media. Please follow us on LinkedIn, on Instagram and Facebook. And as Sumaya posted in the chat, within the next 1 to 2 weeks, you will get a certificate to the email that you registered with. All right. Thank you all. And please keep your eye out for more webinars. We're going to have a few more once every month. Thank you very, very much. Have a good one,
Thanks
everybody.
so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.